Garbage, where we take a look at games, discuss the industry like the showcase, and then also just stream for fun. So thanks for joining me today. Man, I gotta say, just a little warning here. Check on people, folks. Things are rough, things are getting hard. I just found out that one of our close friends, they had a family member commit the sue because life was too hard. Life was just getting to him. And, there's not a lot of resources for us men. And it's tough out there. And I wish I could say it's going to get easier, but it's not. And just check in on your friends, folks. Pay attention to what they're saying, how they're saying it, what they're doing. If they're still motivated and enjoying things they used to enjoy. If they got that spark of life still. Just check on folks, please. We don't need anyone else to die that way this year. Okay. So, we're going to talk about the Starfield Showcase. So, I was going to have this posted already, but, thank you, Twitch. Had my audio stuttering problem, so we're going to be going over it again. I also got a little bit more information today. But, the overview is we're going to go over... we're going to just start basically going over the game as they started talking about stuff in their Starfield Direct. This is about a 40-45 minute showcase right after Xbox Showcase. And I gotta say, this Starfield Direct really has me excited for the game. At the end, we're going to go over Starfield Edition type of stuff. And then we're going to go over my overall thoughts. And I gotta say, this showcase, folks, it's a freaking A. It's an A or A plus, not an A minus. I mean, this showcase is how you freaking do it. I was so happy that they had the devs come on, the lead developers. They came on and talked about their section of the game that they worked on. And the showcase wasn't squeezed down to a few minutes, and time wasn't wasted. I mean, they packed this showcase for 40-45 minutes, and it is a ton of information. So I'm going to try to get through this as quick as I can. Also, they said at the end that they didn't show everything. There was still quite a bit more to the game, but they wanted to give a really good overview for all of the players out there that are curious about Starfield. And I gotta say, I think they knew that Redfall was a huge disappointment and failure. And it's probably a good thing it's on Game Pass because it saved some people some money. But man, I think Xbox and Bethesda both knew that Starfield was in the crosshairs. There was already expectation that it was going to be kind of crap. And so Bethesda had to come out swinging. And they did. They did, folks. Okay, let's get right into it. So there's over 1,000 worlds. These worlds are pretty much going to be procedurally generated. The procedural generation is going to be for the world and likely the fauna and flora as well. There are going to be handcrafted sections in the game. These will usually be human settlements or human colonies or whatever, or faction outposts. These are all going to be handcrafted. The weapons are handcrafted. Your suit is handcrafted. There's also a large part of the game that's going to be handcrafted for your ships too. I don't think there's going to be a lot of procedural generation there either, which I'm happy about, and I'll get into why I think that in a little bit. This game is going to be able to be played in first and third person, whatever suits your needs. You're going to have a first person, a third, a backed up third, and even more backed up third person, and then click back into first person again. So you're going to have 4 different game modes. You're going to be able to switch through these throughout the gameplay, no problem. The combat that they showed, it looks way better. A lot more fluid. Gunplay looks fun. And it looks better than what they originally showed several months ago. I still feel like that the combat is a little weak and that it's a little too easy. With what they did show, the player playing the game is just blowing through people like it's nothing. I mean, there's not a lot of shields. There's not a lot of... you can be a heck of a lot faster than the other enemy. The enemy doesn't necessarily seem super aggressive. It kind of reminded me of, like, Borderlands, actually. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like Borderlands enemies. Most of those enemies, they're not overly smart. You can whip through them fairly quickly if you know what you're doing. And that's what it kind of felt like. So I do hope that there is some challenging combat in the game. Items in the game have mass. I got to see this as they were looking at inventory and your backpack and that kind of thing. But so yeah, items do have mass. So we're going to be getting to a point again where we're going to have a limitation of slots in your backpack probably, and then we're also going to be having a limitation of actual like mass weight on your person. You will likely be able to store stuff on your ship. You all also will be able to create outposts wherever you want. Have your own little base, and you'll be able to store stuff there. So all of the normal mechanics that we know from Fallout 4 and F76, they're going to be there. And Skyrim and all that, they're basically going to be there. That hasn't really changed at all. We're still going to have a crew. So you're going to have your own ship, and you're going to be able to have a crew for that ship. Some of these will also be able to be companions. There's going to be unique quest lines for these companions. You're also going to be able to run up to people to hire them, or to bump into them while you're doing quests or just roaming the worlds, and you'll be able to take them on your ship right away. Let's see. I did see during some of the gameplay, especially moving through an environment or like where the camera kind of snapped quickly during the gameplay, I did see some frame rate drops and some anti-aliasing issues. The anti-aliasing was barely noticeable, so I'm kind of wondering if my eyes were just playing tricks on me. But yeah, there was definitely some frame rate drops. And also this also showed up in the vid clips. And again, it wasn't super bad, but it was noticeable. So I don't know if everybody will be able to pick it up. But since we're talking about frames, we do know from Todd that on console, this game is going to be, standardized at a 30 frame rate. And we've talked about this on the channel, is just that, with the hardware, the game developers are wanting to add more, higher resolutions, bigger and badder sizes, and more stuff going on. And so, yeah, they just cannot... frame rate is not prioritized yet for the devs. I think it will be next generation, or the hardware will be so good, they'll have so much to play with that will get higher frame rates. For PC, frame rate is at 60. So that'll be nice. If we can see a pretty consistent 30 frames, though, I would be happy, because most of the games that I'm playing, they're still not even at a consistent 30 frames. So we still did have some of those frame rate drops. So that does worry me a little bit. The style and art style and how the game is designed and how it looks is just a very NASA punk art style kind of thing. So we're talking about like 60s through the 80s. There's not like a ton of like advancement and all of this stuff. It's just, it's NASA punk. That's what they called it. And it kind of looks cool. And stuff is kind of lo-fi. Stuff looks lived in, used. Not horrible, right? It's not like horrible shape, but these some little scuffs, some kind of little dirt and stuff like that. And honestly, it looks nice. It looks like a real type of environment. We also got to see the star map. Man, is my audio doing this again? No, I'm just imagining. Okay. We also got to see the star map. So we're going to be having, where you can look at a planet, and then you'll be able to look at the system that the planet is in, and then you'll be able to zoom out again and look at like the sector or region of space. And this is where those 1,000 planets are. Now, we don't know if there's multiple regions or multiple sectors. But with the planets, I mean, you'll be able to get details about the planet, which will help you decide if you want to land there or not. When you go to land, you're actually going to select over a certain location or like a critical point, and then you'll be able to hit the X button and go in. So I think there's going to be a cinematic there where your ship is going to be kind of guiding you in, and there's going to be a little transition, and then you'll be in the, you'll be inside the spaceport. I don't think you'll be able to fly right in. Also, too, when I got to see the player exiting a planet, there was no movement whatsoever. There weren't any kind of like theatrical bars that came into the frame to indicate a movie, but the player didn't move or anything at all. And there was just this kind of transition period of moving through the atmosphere, and then when the music changed, you knew then you were in space, and then there was a few second gap there, or delay, or whatever you want to call it, or pause, and then the player finally started moving around and flying through space. So I kind of wonder if there's these little transitions that we're going to have from planet to space and back again. That I'm not sure about, though. We'll have to see. You're also going to have skills for your person. You're also going to be able to have upgrades for your ship. And I mean, the amount is insane. I think this is probably the biggest they've ever had. That was one of the things they really mentioned, is that they wanted to take things from multiple IPs that they've made over the years and expand on those features and put them in this game. So this is like all of the game knowledge that they've had put together. A lot of these leads, they're balding, they're graying, they're older. And this, I've talked about too, is where we had 75 million people retire from the workforce in 2020 and 2021 because of the COVID and lockdown and vaccine stuff. And so a lot of these people retired. That was about half of the workforce at the time. We still had, tens of millions coming into the workforce, which was good. But this is why we've seen this help wanted, lack of labor, and also we paid for a lot of younger people to not work. But yeah, a ton of them retired, and they take that experience with them. And so this also would have hit the gaming industry, and this is kind of why I think a lot of these games suck. There is just a total different feel and motivation for these games being made, like Saints Row or Tiny Tina's Wonderland or Halo Infinite. I mean, take your pick. Most of these games suck. Redfall is one of the latest ones. Forspoken wasn't very good. There's just a totally different undertone, and that undertone is not present in Starfield. These are people that have been in the industry. These are the people that have been making games for, a couple decades, and they, well, dare I say it, they don't have the ideals of today. They have the old ideals when games were good. And so I'm really excited for this. I'm glad to see the age. And all of the head devs, as they're talking and discussing things, they seem like they're really keeping on top of their entire department and doing the best that they can for their aspect of their game that they're making. So this really has me excited. But yeah, there's 13 different aspects to your ship. Each aspect you'll be able to change and upgrade and color and whatever. Some of these are also going to have utility features that you'll be able to see and experience in your game, like whether you want to display something or you want to have more cargo space or whatever. And the skills too, there's also traits, so there's skills and traits. Skills you'll be able to rank up and do as you do challenges and get skill points. The other thing is traits you'll be able to pick at the beginning of the game. And you'll be able to, how can I say it? You'll have a positive and a negative with the trait. It will gain you something, but will also make an aspect of the game harder as you play. So be careful what you choose, folks. There's factions in the game, so we got to meet Constellation. You're probably going to meet these guys first. There's the Unity Colonies, there's Freestar Collective, and there's Argos, and there's Red Mile, and there's probably more. So I'm thinking there's probably at least maybe around 10 different factions in the game, and they're kind of spread all over space. And yeah, these are quests. You'll be able to meet people. There'll probably be some companions wedged in there, and yeah, and how you decide to interact and do things will also change how some of these factions interact with you. Yeah, this game just sounds so good. We also got to hear a little bit about civil space and uncivil space. So civil space is where everybody gets along. Uncivil is where things are going to be more dangerous, more risky, but also more rewarding. We're also going to be rewarded for our exploration. Todd mentioned that. And then some of these factions are kind of way out in deep space too. So, and I think some of these you won't know they're there until you've played the game some. And then you're going to hear the name, or you're going to hear a planet with something on it. And I kind of think they're going to go that way because they want you to get excited and curious to explore their world that they've built for us. And they need some of that intrigue in there to do that. And so I'm super flippin' excited for the exploration side of this game. Oh my word, folks. Yeah, I'm just getting more excited talking about this. Waiting until September is going to be hard. Am I... Oh yeah, I'll get it. Well, I'll get into that a little bit. There's a fast travel system. So you can click where you want to fly. So I've already mentioned this to planets. And then you'll also have a hyperdrive, where you can go from point A to point B in the sector of space and travel to a different system. It is going to cost resources, and you're also going to have the skills and the know-how in order to be able to have a hyperdrive. So initially you're going to start, learn the game a little bit, kind of get a feel for it, work toward the goal of getting a hyperdrive, it seems like, and then off you go exploring the rest of the sector. I really feel like in quite a few aspects, they learned from Fallout 76 with a lack of NPCs and a lack of story. And they also learned from No Man's Sky of just how empty it felt at launch. No Man's Sky, I've heard, is wonderful now. They keep pushing out new updates and stuff for their game, and I've heard it's now one of the best flight sims out there for exploring and stuff. It's quite fun. They've added multiplayer and all of these things. But man, when No Man's Sky first started, it was the blandest sandbox I ever played in. Let's see, we also got to see New Atlantis. This is going to be probably one of the biggest hubs or areas in the city. It reminded me, for any of you that have played Fallout or Mass Effect, it looked a lot like the Presidium in the Citadel. And there's different sections to the city, too. And there's just this immense omnipresence of skyscrapers and buildings and just... Yeah, this place looks really big. And there's going to be a ton of focus on side stories and quests in this place, they mentioned. Let's see, there's going to be creatures in the game, so fauna and flora, and you'll be able to harvest some of these for materials if you have the skill for them. So there's an entire craft section in the game. And I wonder really how expansive that is. They didn't really show it very much, but they did talk about it some. They completely redid character creation for yourself and for the NPCs in the game. So they photographed, they said, tons of people to have these different images and stuff, and different faces, and they're really trying to make things as varied as possible. So kind of the repeat of like Fallout 3 and 4 and New Vegas and even F-76. I don't think we're going to have that. I think there's going to be a wider variety of faces and kind of independent looks in the game. They said, too, like, this is the most expansion they've ever had for character creation at the beginning of a game. So that has me excited, too, because the character creation, honestly, for Fallout 76 was pretty good. There was a lot of different hairstyles and all sorts of stuff, but yeah, they even expanded it even more, which I'm not entirely sure how they can do that. But yeah, you can sit there and literally make the perfect character. So, let me know how it goes after 10 hours. Some of these traits, yeah, again, back to the traits, it seems like you're going to be able to change some of these. And some of these, too, are going to have, like I said, direct effects in the game. So one of them that I wanted to talk about is called Wanted. And this gives you a buff when your health is low. But also, mercenaries come and hunt you throughout the game. And they can come at any time. So they're trying to find you. You got a bounty on your head, basically. And these mercenaries just keep coming. And I honestly think I'm going to grab this one because I'm going to be a combat guy for a lot of the game. And also I want the game to be more difficult. I might regret it later. But hey, we'll get to see on the channel because I'm going to be streaming this game, of course. Skills will be leveled. And then, yeah, you have to do challenges in order to get those skill points. Some of the devs talked about a balance between fun and realism in the game. So they really wanted to make things as real as they could, as accurate as they could, with, spaceships and crafting and kind of space travel. And but they also, too, they cited more on the side of, is it fun than a simulation? So I'm happy about that, because I still think some of the funnest games are fairly realistic. They're really beautiful and real looking. Some of the things you have to manage or keep up with are kind of fun for a game, but they're still citing on, hey, is it fun? This is still a video game. Are people enjoying the video game? Another thing they focused on was, if a player wants to ask, hey, can I do that? The devs wanted to be able to say yes. So they have tried to make as many options and opportunities as they can for you and I to play however we want. So they've also taken a look at making the environments different, rewarding curiosity, making sure that the immersion is believable. What you're seeing and going through in the game, you're actually having kind of like an emotional connection. And oh my word, folks! I mean, I can't even imagine. And they want you to have fun too. Like I said earlier, they sat on the air of fun. One thing I forgot to mention was they built a ship that looked like Optimus Prime as a kind of a big Lego set, and just flying through space, color coded and everything, and you could totally tell what it was. It was pretty funny. I had to get a chuckle out of that. So you can be as wild or as realistic as you want, and it's honestly pretty cool. Let's see. There is also ship combat in the game. This actually looked pretty good, pretty fun, pretty intense at times. You do have a power allocation system for your ship, so you can decide whether you want more shields or more thrusters or more weapon or whatever, and you get to change this all on the fly. So this is something that they had that I got to see when I played Star Citizen. And in a early beta, like way the frick back there on my PC. But yeah, power allocation system I thought was really cool. Something else we got to see is during ship combat, you can decide to destroy the ship or to disable it. And then you can board the ship. And if you are successful at your raid party, you're able to keep the ship. And it goes into a roster of a fleet of ships that you can use and swap out at any spaceport. And you can change and tweak stuff or salvage things and put it on your ship. I mean, frick yeah. Like, I'm excited for that. I'm going to spend quite a bit of time probably in shipbuilding. And they have an entire mode dedicated to shipbuilding. So it's not like just a little side menu. No, this is an entire different menu in the game that's tried to give you all the tools and ability to tweak and do stuff with your ship. So yeah, boarding was very surprising for me, but yeah, I'm going to enjoy that, believe me. They say, F you, dude. I'm going to be like, alrighty. And I'm going to come in with A10 steak sauce, and I'm just going to make a mess right there. Just spill it all over the floor. Can't wait. Okay, so that's the general focus of what the game has in it, what it's going to be like, how it's going to play, all that jazz. So there is going to be a required online connection initially, because the game is 125 gigs. As far as we know, the game is only one disc if you're getting a physical version, so there's no way, even with the Ultra HD Blu-ray, you can't fit all of that data on the disc. There's probably going to be updates too, some bug fixes. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention that too. The playtesters within the company and over at Xbox, they've been testing this game for a while, and they're saying that Starfield has the least amount of bugs they've ever been able to find in a previous game. Which, Bethesda is known for their bugs, right? And it is pretty buggy at launch. But, man, that gets me excited too. It's like a higher level of quality, the type of No Man's Sky that we wanted. And, yeah, take my flippin' money. I cannot wait for this game. I am really hoping it doesn't let me down or anybody else. Otherwise, I am going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed. So yeah, just one disc, 125 gig initially. It could be a little bigger as we get closer. We do have the possibility of early access, a 5-day early access if you want to pay $100. So if you want to pay an extra $30, that's an extra $6 a day for those 5 days. And you can get early access on the 1st. They also showcased a controller. which I am actually going to try to see if I can buy the shells and the kits and everything. And then, so this will be, of course, later this year, maybe even next year. But yeah, if I can buy the kits and stuff, I will post it on this channel about how much those kits are going to be. And if you want, I can do it for you. I mean, we got to figure out logistics and controllers and like shipping and all that stuff. But I mean, if some of you are willing to agree on how much it's going to cost, and I'm willing to do the work. I got a little teeny desk that I do all of my electronic repair stuff at for gaming, and I've been doing that for a couple of years now. And so yeah, if anything's screwed, but I mean, besides just switching out the shell, I'll make sure that stuff's clean. I'll make sure that everything is working and functioning right. If it's not, I'll get in contact you and see if you want it fixed or not and how much that's going to cost. But anyway, if that is something you guys are interested in, please let me know. And then I will be updating later this year or maybe next year when I can finally find those shells. There's also going to be a Xbox headset design. Oh yeah, the controller, excuse me. The controller is going to be $80. The headset is going to be $125 for a wireless Xbox headset, with all of the design being Starfield. Honestly, I got to get my hands on one of these, trying to do a repair job, and I got to say some of the innovation is actually pretty nice. The only thing that I didn't like is the charge port, where it is and how big it is, and if you create any amount of leverage, you can break away the charge port piece away from the motherboard, and then you're screwed, and that motherboard, you just need a new one. And they don't make spare motherboards. So you just have to buy a whole brand new one. Or find a shop. I don't have small enough tips for my soldering iron. But you'd have to find a shop to repair it, unfortunately. Which is a bummer. And some of the aspects too are not easy to take off or take apart. So if you're trying to basically swap over to another series or to another Xbox headset, you have a pretty good likelihood of breaking some of this stuff because some of these plastic pieces are not high quality. They will snap. So yeah, if you get this headset, just be careful. Also, there's been a known issue with the microphone going out and being a problem with these headsets. So I just wanted to put that out there. If you want to risk, with the information, I mean, you guys have the money, go for it. I mean, absolutely. But I don't want people kind of going in the hole a little bit for $125 just to have a headset that's going to break or have an issue for them. And if you can't take that risk, don't. Go for the controller. Those Series X controllers are built really good. I like working on them. But yeah, just know that. Next, we have the Collector's Edition at $300. So you'll be getting a fully functional watch, which is the watch you actually get in the game. You'll also be getting a patch, and you'll also be getting a case, which is designed off of what the astronauts would have had when they landed on the moon to collect moon rocks. So that's kind of cool. For $300, that's pretty good. One concern I do have is that there wasn't a physical copy of the game. They didn't mention a physical copy. There was no physical copy of the game shown. So I don't know if you get one or not. I guess we'll find out, closer to launch. The collector's editions, they're basically already sold out. The only place as of yesterday was GameStop if you were a pro member. So it might be worth becoming a pro member. So if you really want that $300 collector's edition, you can grab it. But yeah, they're out everywhere else. Amazon, Best Buy, whoever else sells them at this point. Yeah, they're all gone. So, and as soon as they come in, they're going to be gone like that. So it's just going to be like console 2.0 where trying to get a Series X or trying to get a PS5 for those first 2 years is going to be extremely difficult. So some of us might have to wait like into next year of actually getting a collector's edition because they are selling really, really quick. Also, Starfield is already the most sold game on Steam. Can you believe that? It is the most sold game on Steam. Now, what this means is that, there's a PC Game Pass, But on and this is going to be launched on for the first day on Game Pass on the 6th. And but people are choosing to buy the independent copy and probably buying early access as well. And it is the most, yeah, that's crazy. It's the most sold game on Steam already. It's not even out yet, folks. I mean, this beat Cyberpunk. This beat Elden Ring. I mean, it's, yeah. Think of that, folks. Like, people are flipping excited for this. And I mean, we should be. I mean, this could literally be the game of the decade. And if it does launch well, I think it is going to get Game of the Year. I think it's going to be better than Tears of the Kingdom. Even though I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom, and I understand. But holy moo-moos, folks. I mean, this is going to be, this is going to be a huge game that everybody wants to experience. And sounds like some folks are salty, too, a little bit, because there's a lot of people calling out that, Starfield's already going to be junk, even after the showcase. And just, kind of sounds like some Sony players out there. And honestly, folks, we should not be so petty to be pissing on the other console, okay? I mean, we should look at what companies are doing with their products and their services and basing it off of that. We shouldn't be basing it off of how we think personally about not being able to play a game. Do I think some people are maybe going to go back and go get their Series X? Yeah. And if you want one yourself, get a pre-owned one. I bet you right now there's going to be a wave of people that is going to start figuring this out, where it's like, oh, I don't have to pay $500. I can just buy a pre-owned one. And if that's your thinking, because they're like $300-400 now, if that's your thinking, I would get one today. Because as the used market gets sucked up through Facebook Market and eBay and stuff, they're just going to get more and more expensive. And yeah. Also, if you're wanting to buy a brand new one, get it now. I mean, pretend like it's 2020 again or 2021, where you're trying to get a console, and just every freaking week, just walk in on Tuesday and Thursday and say, hey, do you have a console? Do you have any in the back? Do you, I want to get one. So, just a word to the wise. If you do want one, start now. Overall thoughts, an A. An A for this. It was so smooth. I wasn't bored. I never looked at my watch. It was so wonderful of a showcase, and I was so excited for this game. I probably do have a little bit of bias because I love space exploration games. That's why No Man's Sky was such a disappointment, and even though I own it, it's hard for me to put it back in the console because it's like, that was such a bummer. That was such a bummer. It just left a bad taste in my mouth. I will eventually play it, but it still might be some years from now. So what was really nice about the showcase? The leads and the devs, they got to come out and talk about what they built. They got to talk about the aspects of the game, and who's going to know it better than them. It wasn't the president of the company. It wasn't someone third party of some president of company of whatever talking about the game. It wasn't just some, CGI trailer. I mean, they are deep diving into what they built into this game, and it was such a great, detailed view of how great this game can be. This definitely felt like a passion project. This was an 8-year project that was 2 years longer than Elden Ring, and which is crazy. But yeah, this definitely feels like a passion project. People really want this game to be perfect. The music sounded great during the showcase. We didn't get to see too much, but there's already some ripped files that you can find on YouTube and stuff and get it out there. And so if you already want to start listening to the soundtrack, the OST files are already out there. Enjoy. I think they learned some lessons from No Man's Sky and Fallout 76. Fallout 76 was such a bummer, and the studio wanted to be like, you know what, we can do better. We want to be able to really hit it out of the park, get a home run. There was still quite a bit more that Todd mentioned at the end that they didn't show. And so, even with just what they showed, If it was $100 with no early access, I would buy it. I still got to buy the cheapest version I can. So I'm going to pay 70 just for the standard edition and get it on the 6th. And that's when we're going to stream it. I don't care if I have work in the morning or not. Let's see. There's also a photo mode in the game. So there's going to be some really cool cinematic, beautiful pictures out there. And there's probably going to be a small community built, just like on Uru. Could be anyway, where people share photos and just are excited about that. So, well, maybe we should start one on the channel. Just create a Starfield photo. And people can just share what they show and just enjoy it. Procedural generation I already talked about. So, really, it was mentioned a few times that they took the best from Elder Scrolls, BioShock, Fallout, and shoved it all into one game. There's so many different aspects of this game. They're wanting to tell a good story. They're wanting to have, player decision to be as big and wide as they can. They're having as much customization as they can. They're wanting to make it fun. They're wanting to get people excited about exploring. This game just has me so excited, folks. And the underlying tone or foundation of why they were making this game is to create a wonderful experience and allow you to decide how you wanted to play. And this is how it freaking works, folks. I mean, this is what makes a game great. And we've gotten away from it in the last probably 10-ish years, where companies started being like, oh, we can make skins, and we can make expansions, and we can make crummier DLC, and we can put out half of the game and the other half later, and we can push it out because we have a hard date. The money is not the bottom line for this game. And I am willing to bet some serious dough and hopium that this game is going to be wonderful and beautiful and exciting to play. Because this is a passion project. And they're keeping the player engaged and focused. They're not focusing... well, let me say that again. They're keeping the player in the forefront of their mind. The player is why they're making this game. It's not the money. It's not the revenue. It's not getting their stock higher, whatever. They want to make this game to make people smile and disconnect from the horrors of this world, even if it's just for a little bit, to enjoy a wonderful experience. And a lot of the studios today have lost that. If you haven't watched my Ubisoft showcase, I tear that one a freaking new one, and I even got pissed at one of the games because it's so blatantly clear on what their agenda was. And it really frustrated me. It's like, look, I just want to play games. I don't want stuff shoved in my face. But yeah, there's a card right up here if you want to play or take a look at the Ubisoft showcase. There's also one up here for the Xbox showcase. And there's another one up here for the PlayStation showcase. And then also, if you didn't see Summer Game Fest, there's another card right here. So thanks for tuning in, folks. Thanks for hanging in there. I know it's all of these showcases. I'm ready to get back to playing video games, if I'm honest. But yeah, thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for hearing and staying on the channel. Leave a comment on what you think, what you're excited about, or what you're concerned about for the game. Share this video too if you really enjoyed it. Give me a like and follow, all that jazz. You can find me at Don't Tread on Thee on Twitch, and you can also find me on YouTube at Gaming Garbage 22. And I hope you guys are doing well. Remember, folks, check in on people. Life is hard out there, and unfortunately, it is going to be getting harder. Right now, I think we're kind of in the eye of the storm, and what's coming is going to be pretty nasty. So prepare, get your financial things in order, get rid of debt. And then, yeah, check on people. Even if they say they're okay, spend time with them. Reach out to them. Try to be a part of their lives. And with that, folks, I'll see you on the next one.